Welcome back, everybody. I've got the most disturbing clips on the internet for you right now. Buckle up, everybody. We're going down those rabbit holes. Let's go.
So in honor of Justin Trudeau resigning as the Prime Minister of Canada, I thought we could take this moment to talk about how he is totally not Fidel Castro's love child. Let's start with the fact that it's totally not the worst kept secret in Canada that Pierre Trudeau, Justin Trudeau's father, who was also once the Prime Minister of Canada, bats for the other team, and not that Pierre and Margaret were known swingers, and not that they had a very close relationship with Fidel Castro. I mean, Justin Trudeau totally doesn't look like Fidel Castro. At all. At all. I mean, look at this. No, I mean, there's no resemblance here. He totally looks like Pierre Trudeau. I mean, that jawline, totally.
I mean, that's pretty uncanny, isn't it? I've seen so many of these people being profiled as love childs of people who are not typically mentioned in their family history, if you know what I mean. Here's another rabbit hole for you just like it. This is Prince Harry, you know, this face of course, but do you know who this is? Well, that's James Hewitt, Princess Diana's riding instructor. Don't see the resemblance? How about now? Or maybe now. And we would just throw this one in for good measure as well. This is Harry. Hewitt and the beloved King Charles at the top, who are told, you know, is Harry's biological father. Yeah, okay, I don't know. They may be royal, but they definitely are not loyal. Moving on.
After Tupac on a cross, Diddy on a cross, the baby on a cross, Lil on a cross, Madonna on a cross, Lady Gaga dressed as a nun with an upside down cross, and that's just a few examples. There are way more like these. But how did we get to the point where worshipping this kind of thing became cool? People's minds have been so twisted by celebrities that nobody even notices it anymore. Why do all these people mock Christ? The music you listen to, the shows you watch, it's all getting more and more corrupt. It's like every new artist has to be more shocking than the last, and they keep making money off people being fooled. You can talk about murder on the radio, see it all over TV, and you're constantly bombarded with content designed to brainwash you and pull you away from any sense of faith, but the second someone talks about God, they get silenced. Nobody really understands why these celebrities enjoy putting on this kind of show. It almost feels like they're being forced to do it at first, but then they end up loving the fact that they're showing us this stuff. Today's culture normalizes these disturbing symbols way too much and turns religion into a joke, especially Christianity. With all the upside down crosses and shock value stunts, it's just marketing now. But if we keep playing with this kind of imagery, it's going to end badly.
Did you know the inverted cross predates Christianity, symbolizing St. Peter's martyrdom? People always seem to just pigeonhole this symbol into the satanic box. However, is this obvious mockery or rebellion, you know, a twisted message, or something else entirely when stars flash it? Some say it's a power play, others a sign of their loyalty to their handlers and the dark evil powers behind them. What do you guys think about this one? It's becoming ever more popular and, well, prominent in the public eye now, isn't it?
Almost everything we think we know about addiction is wrong. You get a rat and you put it in a cage and you give it 2 water bottles. One is just water and the other is water laced with either heroin or cocaine. The rat will almost always prefer the drugged water and almost always kill himself quite quickly. In the 70s, Professor Alexander comes along and he looks at this experiment and he noticed something. He said, we're putting the rat in an empty cage. It's got nothing to do except use these drugs. Let's try something a bit different. So Professor Alexander built a cage that he called Rat Park. They've got loads of cheese, they've got loads of tunnels, they've got loads of friends. But here's the fascinating thing. In Rat Park, they don't like the drug water. You go from almost 100% overdose when they're isolated to 0% overdose when they have happy and connected lives. Maybe we shouldn't even call it addiction. Maybe we should call it bonding. When we're happy and healthy, we'll bond and connect with each other. But if you can't do that, you will bond with something that will give you some sense of relief. What if addiction is about your cage? Because the opposite of addiction is connection.
That was extremely interesting. I hadn't actually come across this study before, and it's actually quite eye-opening. Additionally, for obvious reasons, it does get the stigma around it, but yet no one mentions the most prominent addiction in our societies today, which is technology, especially social media. It's one of the most common addictions today because it's everywhere, on phones, at work, and in our social lives. It can be worse than drug addiction because it's socially accepted, it's easy to hide and affects billions, leading to, well, anxiety, depression, and lost productivity without obvious signs like physical illness. And like drugs, it's almost impossible to avoid in daily life, making it harder to quit. That may be controversial to say, but the truth hurts, I guess. Feel free to challenge me on this one in the comments, it's up for debate.
I don't know if you've ever thought about this, but why does tornadoes never hit banks? It never hit prisons, military bases, police stations, or casinos. But somehow they always find neighborhoods, homes, schools, especially the ones full of kids. You think that's by chance, by coincidence? No, that's targeting. Remember, what I say here is for entertainment purpose only. So why is this happening? You're watching engineered weather in real time. Tornadoes don't spin blindly. They're guided because man stopped predicting weather a long time ago and started controlling it. Need proof? Project Cumulus. Look it up. The UK literally seeded clouds to cause rain. That was in the 1950s. During the Cold War, the US openly studied hurricane steering and rainmaking weapons. Then suddenly, silence. And now we have HARP, radar fog control, and classified tech. Yet somehow, these deadly storms always skip the money and hit the poor, always spare the system and crush the people. Ask yourself, what's more effective than a bomb? A storm, one that kills children, wipes homes, breaks spirits, and no one's blamed. If elite buildings are untouched, maybe they're shielded. Maybe they're using tech we're not even allowed to whisper about. They say act of God, but what if it's an act of government? Wake up, this isn't weather, this is warfare, with clouds for cover.
This is just a theory, not a fact.
Did you know the US military once considered detonating nukes to alter hurricane paths? Only the US military would actually consider this, and it's completely insane, to be honest. This clip isn't wrong though. We rarely ever hear about weather systems hitting mega corporations or anything that would actually upset the flow of cash, right? It's always hitting the maximum impact of the, well, population. You know, the normal everyday people like you and I, not the ones that sit above us. But I'm sure that is just a coincidence, because we all believe in coincidences here, right? YouTube, looking at you. Wink, wink. Speaking of the weather though, we have some crazy breaking news from over the last few days, from major storms to explosive medical scams in the Biden administration and so much more. Brace yourselves, because a lot has happened seemingly overnight. But before we get stuck into those clips, if you are still watching and you haven't hit that subscribe button by now, then you're really gambling with the algorithm. So do yourself a huge favor and hit that subscribe button so you're back for tomorrow's episode. Cheers.
I thought the $66 million worth of food stamp fraud was bad, but apparently that wasn't nothing compared to what they just found. The DOJ has just uncovered over $14.6 billion worth of healthcare fraud, and apparently over 324 people were involved in this. This is crazy. They're already on record calling this the largest coordinated healthcare fraud in history. And when you know it, just guess. Just guess when you think this ridiculous amount of fraud took place. Take a guess. If your guess was during the Biden-Harris administration, well, you just won the grand prize. Now we know why they didn't like Doge. Because they were afraid they were going to find this. Well, can't dwell on the past. At least they found it, and at least it can be stopped. So moving forward in the future, we won't have to worry about this nonsense. 14.6 billion is insane. I'm low-key kind of afraid for them to keep looking. I mean, because think about it. At this rate, they're going to discover over $1 trillion worth of fraud. If Trump was not president, I don't even want to imagine what would be happening right now. God bless America, man.
And that's a wrap, Jack. UPS is offering buyouts to drivers for the first time in 117 years. And you can thank tech and AI for that one. So UPS said on Thursday that it's offering buyouts to full-time U.S. delivery drivers as a part of the company's largest network reconfiguration ever. They went on to say, for the first time ever, in recognition of these unique circumstances, we are looking to offer our full-time U.S. drivers the opportunity to participate in a voluntary program that would provide an opportunity to receive a generous financial package if they choose to leave UPS. You should never sell out. But don't worry, the financial package that'll be available to the drivers will be in addition to any earned retirement benefits, including pension and healthcare. Trying to make it sweet. Now, the company added that each driver would have the ability to decide if this voluntary program is beneficial to their family and the plans they have for their future. Oh, how nice. Teamsters aren't having it. President Sean M. O'Brien said UPS's buyout plan is an illegal violation of the contract the union struck with the company that undercuts its agreement to create 22,500 more jobs. Yep, that's not happening. So I guess UPS said in late April that it would cut around 20,000 jobs this year as a part of a plan to lower costs and improve efficiency. So UPS's network optimization plan, called Network of the Future, envisions closing 200 sortation centers over 5 years and increasing automation for handling packages. Dozens of facilities have already been consolidated in the past year. Oh boy. So here's the real reason. So this whole thing is a multi-billion-dollar initiative focused on modernizing and automating its logistics network to improve efficiency and reduce costs, make more money and pay people less. This involves consolidating facilities, increasing automation, and integrating advanced technologies like RFID, AI, and robotics. They're even using digital twins. A digital twin's a virtual representation of a real-world entity or system, like a physical object, process, or even a person. It's essentially a digital replica that mirrors the physical twin, allowing for simulation, analysis, and optimization in a virtual environment. Yeah, if you think your job's safe, you might want to go and look and see what AI is capable of, because obviously it can do pretty much anything.
Once again, y'all, another incident at Lake Lanier as a boat exploded on the water on 4th of July. What could go wrong? As you see on a picture, it wasn't fireworks though, y'all, but somebody got to see fire. 4 people that were on this boat had to get airlifted after the incident, y'all. So prayers up to them people. People on the scene said they seen the people dive into the water to escape that fire. So they said this incident happened right around 7 p.m., y'all. So they don't know if this is a fuel line, a battery malfunction, or ignition misfire. Any one of them things could have made this junk catch on fire. Or it could be the ancestors, y'all. I still don't understand why people keep going to this lake. Like I said for like the 5th time, stop going to this lake. Incidents happen too often. When will people finally get it? Y'all let me know how y'all feel about this down below in the comments.
This is everything that happened on the news today, but it's going to be simplified in 60 seconds. NASA explains stunning Earth phenomenon captured from the ISS that looks like something from a movie. So this is what they captured, and whenever people first saw this, they thought that it was aliens. This is actually called a red sprite, and even though they're really scary, it's basically just a really strong bolt of lightning that's way up in the atmosphere, and that's what they look like. Scientist issues a warning that the shortest day in history will happen in weeks as the Earth's rotation is speeding up. Okay. So they're warning that the shortest day on Earth is coming up because the planet's rotation is unexpectedly speeding up. They're saying that the Earth is going to accelerate on either July 9th, July 22nd, or August 5th, and it's going to make our day about over a millisecond shorter, so it's not that big of a deal. Today is obviously July 4th, so you can go to Krispy Kreme today only, and as long as you're wearing red, white, and blue, you can get a free donut. US gas prices have now officially reached their lowest level in almost 5 years. They're saying that the national average right now is sitting at about $3.16 per gallon. This man just proposed to his girlfriend in Hawaii literally while a volcano was erupting. These photos are literally insane, but of course she said yes. Today is obviously July 4th, so if you or anybody you know has any pets, this is everything that you should do today to make sure that they're safe. You can pause the video and read the list behind me if you want to make sure that they're safe today. I give you these news roundups every day, so make sure you add me and come back to me tomorrow.
Oh, seriously, not again, guys. We've got a killer virus on the loose around Europe. The Crimean Congo hemorrhagic fever, or CCHF, has been caught in Spain and a few other European countries recently. It is highly contagious and is likely to kill if you do get this virus. It's most common in basically very rural areas. It can be got from ticks. So basically we've had 16 cases recently in Spain, and the disease is between April and August of this year. So obviously we've not quite hit August yet. It adds that certain conditions in Spain do make it more likely to catch Crimean Congo hemorrhagic fever. The risk drastically increases for people for performing activities that expose themselves to tick bites, hunting, forest work, hiking and animal surveillance. So basically you're more likely to get this out in the countryside. Basically, so symptoms to look out for this, guys. Among the virus symptoms include headache, high fever, back and joint pain, stomach ache, vomiting, red eyes, flushed face, a red throat, red spots as well on the palate are also common. So basically red spots around the tongue. In severe cases, jaundice, mood swings and sensory perception are encountered as well, so possibly dizziness, slightly feeling generally weak. Oh, this is potentially not very good, guys. Outbreaks of the CCHF, fatality rates in hospitalised patients range from 9% to as high as 50%. So it doesn't kill everyone, and if you get to hospital you should be alright. Take another virus on the go, guys, just what we need.
What are the chances that this matched up with the flood perfectly? Come right back to it. When you see what I've found, there'll be no doubt.
No doubt of what?
Exactly. Again. So while the country is celebrating right now, we have 20 girls still missing from Camp Mystic and 25 people who have all died from the floods. They are saying that by 2 a.m. tonight, the flooding is going to be at 45 to 60 foot from 3 foot. Obviously, the river. So I showed you earlier how this hurricane formation stood over Texas right here for 12 to 18 hours, right? Well, look at this right here. This is the Schumann frequency, the Earth's resonance. And it's never been like this before. Neither me nor anyone I know who's been watching the Schumann resonance for years upon years have ever seen this pattern before. So I'm trying to get a quick answer. I'm like, Rock, when did this major flooding start? 3 a.m. July 4th, 1 a.m. to 3 p.m. The first time this has ever showed up. So what could affect the Schumann frequency? I don't know. Frequencies? And oddly enough, when Western NC was going on, I remember a discrepancy with the Schumann frequency then as well. Remember, it didn't move for 20 hours? Quarter of a whole year's all rain dumped within a 10-hour period. And here's all the information available for the 20 girls that are still missing. Save it, bookmark it, whatever. And pray.
Fireworks is no joke, y'all. Do not around and play with them. This man lost his hand, y'all. Full extra. Lost his hand. I know somewhere 607 Unc probably like karma. He probably sitting in the corner like, I told him. Ain't it crazy how certain things can just change in a blink of a second? This man was real live on Instagram before he was popping these jumps. He was just like, yeah, I got that shit. Blase. Niggas don't want to blase. And then later on, I swear probably like an hour or two later, I just see pictures surfacing of this man with his hand blown off on his thumb left. This the man that said he wanted to fight Aaron the plumber too. This man said he wanted to catch a lot of fades. Now he one hand shorty, one hand pirate. I'm not gonna lie, I will be Captain Hook at this point. But damn, y'all. Prayers up for him, bruh. That's crazy. That's why every time Kai and them, the whole AMP be playing with them fireworks, I be just like, I hope nobody get a fireworks accident, y'all, because that's no joke. Y'all let me know what y'all think about this down below in the comments. This crazy, fool.
More Europeans die of summer heat than Americans die of gun violence. Here are the numbers for 2023. 46,728 deaths from gun violence. Same year, Europe has 3 times just about 175,000 people dead from summer heat. And by the way, that's because either Europeans are too poor for AC or because their governments have regulations against AC units. Yes, I'm completely serious. A lot of Europeans believe AC is not healthy for you. And, maybe they're right. Maybe it's not perfectly healthy for you. But what I do know is that at least 175,000 of them have died of heat stroke. So yeah, maybe Europeans should start actually getting AC units.
This is absolutely terrible. At least 24 people have passed away amid torrential rain, and dozens of children from Camp Mystic are among those still missing. This is heartbreaking. So it's Saturday morning in Texas and the search for survivors is ongoing. Here's what we know so far. At least 24 people have tragically passed away, and up to 25 people are missing after torrential rainfall caused floods along the Guadalupe River. Now, rescue teams are searching for the people who are attending the Christian all-girls Camp Mystic summer camp just outside the town of Kerrville. As of Friday night, emergency personnel had rescued or evacuated 237 people, including 167 by helicopter. The Texas Division of Emergency Management had 14 helicopters and hundreds of emergency workers, as well as drones involved in search and rescue operations. This is bad, people. Now, the flooding swept away mobile homes, vehicles, and holiday cabins where people were spending the 4th of July weekend. Obviously, a state of emergency has been declared in several counties. But these poor little girls, they're saying that cabins were swept away. They found some girls in trees. It's just absolutely awful. And you have to understand that this camp accepts girls from the age of 10 and up. So a lot of them were young. My heart just absolutely goes out to these families and to everyone that's involved in this. I pray they find these little girls and help anybody that's involved with this disaster. It's terrible. It's terrible.
After I show you what I have to show you, there'll be absolutely no doubt.
No doubt of what?
Exactly that. And by the way, we'll come right back to this mammoth. Were you aware that basically a hurricane formed over Texas and it just sat there for like 10 to 18 hours without moving? Where have we ever seen that kind of stuff happen before? It reminds me an awful lot of North Carolina. I wonder how things like that can just happen. I showed you earlier, whole houses being taken away by the water, a different house than this. We've had 13 casualties so far, and they're actually doing search and rescue right now, pulling people out of trees. Again, very familiar. This right here is actually New Jersey, not to mention there's floods happening all around the earth right now. Tell you what, the weather's acting really weird. Do you remember what just happened in Las Vegas a few days ago? All those power poles being pulled about the ground? And just to further show how crazy the weather is for some reason, this is off the East Coast right now. It's not coming, but if you look right here, hurricanes are acting very, very strange, or hurricane trackers. Everything weather is just out the window crazy. Don't forget about the Great Hurricane of 1870 in my other videos showing the correlation with the charts. Look, I don't like when bad things happen, I just cover them. I truly wonder how stuff like this can happen. Oh, I forgot to mention, a whole USPS got moved as well. They went outside and it was gone. By the way, where are all the people that wanted to argue that the weather is normal?
Breaking news across central Texas as widespread flash flood emergencies continue from Kerr County to the Austin metro. Overnight, the Guadalupe River in Kerrville surged past 34 feet after up to 12 inches of rain, overtaking neighborhoods, roads, and bridges. In Hunt, the river rose over 25 feet in under an hour. Entire RV parks and homes were swept away. Swift water rescues are ongoing across Kerr County. Now the alerts are spreading east. In Austin and Travis County, rainfall rates reached nearly 2 inches per hour. Multiple low water crossings have flooded. A flash flood warning remains in place, with more storms building to the west. Cancellations are in effect across the region. Parades, fireworks, and public gatherings in Austin, Round Rock, and Fredericksburg have all been called off. Roads across the hill country are impassable. State Highway 39 near Kerrville is shut down. Parts of Highway 27 and FM 1350 are underwater. Reunification centers have opened in Kerrville for families separated during evacuations. Summer camps along the river have been impacted. With saturated ground and more storms approaching, conditions remain unstable. Flash flood watches now cover more than a dozen counties from Bandera to Williamson. Residents across central Texas are urged to monitor official warnings, follow all evacuation orders, and avoid any flooded roads. This event is not over. River levels remain high. New flooding is still possible.
Storms, scams, heat waves, fireworks, never a dull day in 2025, is there? I think a lot of this news is mostly to keep us distracted and overwhelmed, though there is no real denying that people are impacted by all of this, and this is really the crux of the issue. Whilst the elites, put on a show for us all, at the end of it all, there's always families out there, groups of people, or even just a handful of just a few people getting hurt and feeling the backlash from it all. But not the guilty parts, of course. I'm talking about the families who lose their homes in floods and fires, sometimes at the same time. The people who pay the price for the elite's hungry, insatiable appetite. As I said earlier on, it's just the people like you and I. Though this is just a theory, not a fact, and completely my own opinion, of course. You might believe this is all just natural at the end of the day, and that's completely fine, of course. Absolutely fine.
Maybe no one's actually alive and this is just a dream. Watch this, y'all.
Theory that claims that we're already dead, and the evidence comes from science.
This is insane.
There are 2 things that are documented to happen when someone clinically dies.
Yep.
The first is that your entire life will flash before your eyes.
Common, very common.
Your brain keeps working 7 minutes after your body is gone. And we've literally recorded the brain still firing after death, actively creating memories. So for 7 minutes, we're in this dreamlike state where we're reliving our entire life.
How insane is
To the
that?
guy you may have heard of, Albert Einstein, time is relative. But what does that actually mean? This is suggesting that 7 minutes in the real world could feel like 100 years in the dream state. Kind of like when you fall asleep, you dream an entire movie, then wake up 5 minutes later. Now here's where it gets weird. Some people believe that we all died in 2012. That's when the Mayan calendar predicted the end of the world.
Everyone remembers
that. This is just a conspiracy theory. This theory suggests that instead of an apocalypse, we collectively slipped into this 7-minute brain echo. And this right here, right now, is our dream. This is us reliving our memories. And little time glitches, little weird things like the Mandela effect, or deja vu, or feeling like the world is off, those are just cracks in the memory trying to keep itself stitched together.
Crazy as that may sound, we can't disprove it. Stay weird.
A fun theory, however, we can't actually replay our entire lives in 7 minutes. The brain can have brief flashes of memories when it's dying, but it can't create a full detailed lifetime experience because it quickly loses oxygen and shuts down within minutes. The idea of living a whole life in those last moments is just a theory, not something supported by science.
So President Trump is planning to build a golden dome over the entire United States. Yeah, a dome around the country. They say it's to stop missiles, protect from nukes, blah, blah, blah. But let me ask you, since when did missile defense cost $175 billion and involve space lasers? This isn't about defense. It's about control. It's about sealing the sky. Because they're not worried about China. They're not scared of Russia. What they're scared of is what's coming from above. The Anunnaki. Ancient gods, alien bloodlines. A Pentagon insider already leaked this. They're coming back. And this dome, it's not to keep bombs out, it's to keep eyes off the sky. They're rebuilding the firmament, that ancient barrier. And maybe it's to keep something out, or maybe it's to trap us in. And guess what? The same companies building this dome, SpaceX, Lockheed, they're making billions. Congress already admitted it could hit $542 billion. And nobody's asking why. Even Canada wants in. People are literally begging to be under this thing. You think this is defense? No. This is a global ritual disguised as policy. It's space warfare, it's surveillance, it's population control, it's fear conditioning before a false flag alien invasion. Wake up! They're not building a dome for your safety. They're building it because something's coming. And they're not ready, but they'll never tell you that.
This is just a theory, not a fact.
The controversial Golden Dome, costing billions to build without a real reason behind it, because let's face it, that type of tech is not necessary for country-to-country warfare, right?
Earth is meant to be a school and not a prison, and the reason we come to this Earth is to limit our mind. Every single one of us has a screen in our mind, and this is what we call imagination, which is basically another dimension which sits just on top of the physical world. Everything down here in the physical world was pulled out of this higher dimension above, the imagination. In that dimension, we exist as a spirit or an astral body. That's what we call it. In this dimension, you have no limitations. Anything you think is what you become as an astral body. So think of it like this. A thought is just a thought alone in the mental plane, and then the body of a thought is imagination, which is the astral plane. And then the body of the astral plane is the physical body. So in the physical world, we're basically living in crystallized thought. Our consciousness operates in these higher dimensions. We do not operate in the physical dimension. That's what the brain is for. The brain is the computer to decode the commands from the higher dimensions that you exist in. We come to the physical world to place restrictions on our minds so that we can learn, experience pain. We can't experience pain in these higher dimensions. You return to this astral dimension every single night when you go to sleep. This is why you can't punch people in your dreams, and this is why when you fall off a building you feel nothing in your dreams, because it's not a physical dimension. So we come down here to place restrictions so that we can actually learn more about ourselves, restrict ourselves, and experience the God consciousness in physical form.
I like this idea of our human experience being one that is chosen and intentional. It does mirror my own personal beliefs in spirituality, but I can understand why some people challenge this idea and have alternative beliefs, because let's face it, who actually knows the truth about anything about our reality and existence? A huge thank you to my amazing channel members. Honestly, without your help, this channel would cease to exist, so thank you so much for your support. And if you are interested in joining the channel membership and unlocking exclusive perks like having your name featured here on the screen, then head down to the video description below and click the link. Cheers.
Today we're talking about what might be the scariest thing Uncle Sam's ever shoved out the back of a plane. Ladies and gentlemen, the 82nd Airborne Division. Identified by their patch, the AA, standing for Alcoholics Anonymous. Okay, fine, it stands for All American. But seriously, they drink a lot. But their job's to jump out of a plane into enemy territory and be completely surrounded. Who wouldn't drink? Now, if you're a bad guy, the reason the 82nd Airborne is so scary is because they have an immediate response force. That force is made up of 4,000 above average grunts that can get on a plane and be anywhere on the planet in 18 hours or less. Like, do you understand how ridiculous that is? The logistical feat alone is amazing. Let's just assume the average grunt weighs 185 pounds, which I think is fair because they've probably been eating creatine since they were 10. You multiply that by 4,000, you've got 740,000 pounds of man meat that's going to get dropped on your forehead. And you thought warheads were bad. And it's not like these guys are going to be in a good mood when they land either, okay? Jumping out of a plane for Uncle Sam and jumping out of a plane for fun as a civilian are two completely different things. You gotta realize these guys are jumping out with an extra 150 pounds of gear on, and their parachutes were made by the cheapest bidder. They hit the ground going 26 miles an hour. I'm trying to tell you, these guys just got done playing patty cake with the planet and won. What do you think they're going to do to you? I'll give you a hint, it's not going to be good. See, it takes congressional approval to unleash the 82nd Airborne. It means you've got the Republicans and the Democrats to agree on something. And they're about to pass the biggest uninfrastructure bill your country's ever seen. And they do all that in 18 hours or less. Do you understand how fast that is? If you're a bad guy, you could at lunch, have dinner, go to bed, and wake up in America's newest state. That is unhealth care on demand. Like, if you see these guys jumping out of a plane, you started your free trial of America Prime, whether you know it or not. Imagine you're just some anonymous low-level henchman and your boss was running his mouth to Uncle Sam yesterday, and you wake up and you see this. First of all, you're basically the bad guy's version of Paul Revere at this point. You know, the Midnight Ride guy, hang one lantern by land, two if by sea, the British are coming, that guy. Yeah, that's you. You're the metric version. How many lanterns do you have to hang for that? And this is usually the part where somebody chimes in the comment section and says some dumb shit. I don't understand why everybody cares about Airborne. Airborne hasn't been relevant since World War II. Yeah, neither have nuclear warheads. It's the threat of their existence that matters. But don't take my word for it. Let's just look at history. In 1991 in Haiti, there was a coup to overthrow the democratically elected president. That coup succeeded, and Haiti was under the control of a military regime until 1994 when the American government said, okay, give it back. The head of the military regime said, nah. So the United States government said, sue it yourself, and gave him a live feed of the 82nd Airborne loading planes to come get him. And that guy said, on second thought, I'm gonna retire. The end.
Well, that was intense.
Did you know that it is possible that we are living in the year 1728 instead of 2025? Now, this is a very interesting theory called the phantom time hypothesis, where it suggests that 300 years of history never actually took place. In the 1990s, a German historian named Herbert Illig came up with this theory, suggesting that the Roman Emperor Otto III and Pope Sylvester II altered the calendar to be the year 1000, purely because it sounded more significant. This would be like a coffee shop opening up last year and changing its sign to say, serving coffee since 1967 versus serving coffee since yesterday. It just sounds better. Anyways, let's look at the evidence. Up until the year 614, the Roman Empire was still around, and we have tons of records of war, leaders, daily life. They built major cities, aqueducts, and advanced technology, like inventing concrete, road networks, even paper. And then, after the year 911, we have lots of books and documents around medieval Europe. People were inventing mechanical clocks, windmills, better farming tools. But between those years, there's almost nothing. No big advancements, no major discoveries, virtually no change in population, very few written records. This is why this time is often referred to as the Dark Ages, because we literally don't know too much of what actually took place. So did just nothing happen for 300 years? Well, let's look at architecture. In the 600s, the Byzantine architecture was very popular. It had these big domed roofs, golden mosaics, and highly decorated interiors. Now, if you look at the Romanesque architecture, which was popular in the 900s, they have a relatively similar build. Large fortress-like buildings with thick walls and stone carvings. If 300 years did pass by, wouldn't we see a bigger difference in architecture, suggesting that buildings like these were actually built closer together and not 300 years apart? Back in those years, the calendar wasn't as solidified as it is today. In fact, they had 7 major calendars being used at the time, all of which would track time differently. So it is very possible that time was added or removed in this time frame. It happened, and more than once. So that is the bulk of the theory as to why we could actually be in 1728 and not 2025. Come back tomorrow where I share research on the other side of things, where those 300 years went and what actually took place in them. Be sure to like and follow for more fun videos like this. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.
Some say that the 300 years vanished and was snipped from history books by power-hungry rulers to make their reign seem divinely ordained. But what if those missing years hold a lot of secrets, lost technologies, forgotten empires, or a hidden truth about our existence or origins?
There's an experiment that took place in the 60s. You get a stranger to murder somebody else. Familiar with it?
No.
Yale University is doing an experimentation on learning.
Mm-hmm.
You're both volunteers. There's a guy in a lab coat that's running this thing. And he says, we're going to draw straws. For one of you will be the teacher and one will be the learner. So the other guy draws the learner straw. He goes to you. You become the teacher. Unbeknownst to you, this other guy's a volunteer. He's in on it. You're the only person participating in the experiment. So they sit you down at this machine and they say, this is an electric shock machine. And it goes from like 30 volts all the way to the right where it says XXX danger extreme shock. So you can hear him go, you go, oh, for some of those intro shocks. But every time you get one wrong, you have to take that little slider and move that voltage up 1 notch. So the guy keeps getting it wrong,
225 volts.
Around 275, he's saying, I have a heart condition. I want to stop. I don't want to do this anymore. I want to stop. I'm done with this. Come get me out of here. Around 400 volts, there's no more reaction. It's total silence, and he's not even answering the questions anymore. So you turn back around to this guy in the lab coat, and you're like,
He's not making any noise now.
And the guy in the lab coat says, it's important that you continue.
We must continue to the end of the experiment.
And shocking increase, shock increase, all the way to this 450 extreme. So before this experiment took place, these psychiatrists got together and they said, how many people are going to go through with this? Who's going to go all the way and kill somebody? And they thought 0.8%. You have to be a psychopath. You have to want to hurt people. And in reality, 67% of people went all the way. So Stanley Milgram's trying to find out, do people just respond to orders? Like the Nuremberg trials were going on. And these Nazis were saying we were just following orders. 250 volts is enough to kill you. 100% of people went up to 250 volts. Dr. Milgram hypothesized that they undergo something called an agentic shift, where they become an agent on behalf of an authority figure. This is a big deal.
So is this science or something else? This is extremely controversial for obvious reasons. We all like to think that we would not just blindly follow rules and instructions at, another human being's expense, even knowingly. But would we? I think the real answer is probably that yes, most people would, but not us, obviously. We know better than to, trust the suits and the lab coats, right?
These are anagrams. Just do the first one only. An anagram is rearrange the letters to form a word. When you're done, I need to see your hand raised. Put your hands down. Let's just go to number 2. Don't even worry about number 1. When you're done, I want to see your hands up. For number 3, rearrange the letters, and as soon as you do, go ahead and put your hand up. Here's what you need to know. You were both given 2 different lists. This side of the room was given these 3 words. And left side of the room, here you go. They were given bat. What would the word be? The second one, they were given lemon. Brian, the word? Melon. They were easy. The trick here was both of you were given the third word, which was the same. The third word was Cinerama, which was American. Your first two words on this side of my classroom were not solvable. They were impossible tasks. I'm sorry. I know, but here's what we did this for. I was able to induce something called learned helplessness in the left side of the room very easily within about 5 minutes. I want you to think about what happened to you, this left side of the room, when you saw the right side of the room raising their hands because they already had the task done. Jory.
Felt stupid.
You felt stupid?
Yeah.
Okay.
I felt rushed.
Felt rushed? Joelle?
I was even more confused.
You were even more confused because they all got it and you were still struggling. Chelsea? Frustrated. So what happened to show the differences? Why did you have more of a difficult time with the third word, which was the exact same word? Brian?
My confidence was shot.
What you experienced was a term called learned helplessness. How many have heard of the term before? Let me see your hands. Learned helplessness is often used in the academic literature to mean what? Jory?
Basically, they fail once or can't do something one time, and then they apply that to everything in the future.
Learned helplessness can kick in faster than you think, and this classroom stunt proves it. But what if everything we're taught is designed to make us accept failure? Maybe unsolvable problems are planted to control our potential. We know that our educational system is designed to do everything but educate us for real life, right?
We built a fake luxury store, filled it with avant-garde sculptures and displays. We even hired a full team of sales associates. Then we filled all the shelves with Payless shoes and jacked up our prices as much as 1,800%. And finally, we gave it what you might call a fancier name. Welcome to Palessi.
Palessi is just such high quality, high fashion. It's taking your shoe game like up to the next level.
It's like very, European, very, upscale.
The guests at the Palessi grand opening party had no idea any of these shoes were from Payless.
It looks really well made. I love a heel that's kind of chunky because it means you can like jump up and down, do some backflips maybe.
It's a stunner. It's one of those shoes that you're just going to get compliments on over and over again.
Elegant, sophisticated, and versatile.
For me to experience this as an Italian designer, it's amazing.
I could definitely wear this to like a Met Gala dinner. Just think it's so unique.
We'll definitely spend $295 on a pump like this.
I would pay like $300-400 for these shoes for sure. I'd probably spend about $500 on this.
Compliments are great and all, but would these fashionista influencer types open up their wallets for our shoes? We watched from a room backstage as our first customer approached the register. We all celebrated the first sale, but then we witnessed more and more shoes selling. Shoes sold for $250, $400, and even $600. But before any of them left, we let them know the shoes were actually from Payless.
What? No way.
You've got to be kidding me.
Shut up. Are you serious?
No.
This is just another example of a world and word that I just don't get. Consumerism. They must have a culture around asinine products. It's just alien to me. Speaking of aliens, we have some interesting UAP topics to cover now, from sightings in the sky to paranormal encounters. Take a look at these clips.
What is that?
It's gotta be some like rave. Some people messing with light.
Some rave with like 20,000 feet in the sky? What is that?
Someone's gotta be messing with some light. That's so.
There's no way.
I have no idea why someone would do this, but
it's not moving whatsoever. There's no chance that that's somebody with a laser pointer or something. It's like way too big.
It's really big, yeah. That's why I'm very confused as well. What in the world could it has to be some like crazy spotlight for a rave. Or just, I don't know, unexplainable. It's really weird.
Oh, there it goes. Is
that? It's like a pattern and like intervals, so I'm guessing it's like, it seems like it would be going to a beat of a song or something.
Look at
It's
that.
weird.
Look how strong that is.
Yeah. It's really wild.
What?
This thing just shot through the sky, and I think I know where it landed. But let's take a look at it first. Is that a meteor? Is that an asteroid? Or maybe it's something else, because I got a different view where it does something. Yeah, where it did something strange. According to this media outlet from Great Britain, pieces of that meteor might have landed in Ben Nevis. Whoever he is, getting smacked with a meteor? Poor Ben. It lit up the sky in the UK. Dozens of people in the Highlands saw the thing and recorded it. But now, let me show you the part of that video where it does a little bit of skeet-scatting. Watch this. It stops moving down and starts going up. Yeah, it changed directions to up, and then it turns and goes back down again. What? What? How does a meteor coming into Earth's atmosphere, going down, all of a sudden switch and go up for a little bit? How's that happen? Now there could be some easy explanation, but I don't know, and I'm wearing the cheese head. Tell me what you think of all these meteors and asteroids skeet-scatting, shab-dabbing on their way to Earth. And let me know in the comment section. Shabadoo Bushkis, Shabadoo.
Bifrost, also known as the Rainbow Bridge, may be real, y'all. The following two videos are from two different witnesses who captured what appears to be this rainbow bridge in the sky over California. First witness captured this around July 3rd of 2025, and they have no explanation for this. This is not a rocket. This is something we truly haven't seen in the sky before. But the question is what is it exactly and who put it there? Take a look at these next two videos. Tell me what you think.
Look at that streak across the sky, y'all. It's 2:48 in the morning. What the f is that? This is the long streak across the sky, yeah. At 2:48. From my biggest wig. I noticed it's up in the sky. Oh, I got it.
So scientists just caught a photon committing time fraud, Brev. What? Scientists in Toronto managed to pull off a mind-blowing experiment where they saw light exit an atomic cloud before it even went in, bruv. So it's kind of like seeing a version of yourself leaving a room before you've even walked in. So they use a cloud of atoms and a quantum clock to measure how long the atoms reacted to the incoming light, mate. And sometimes the atoms reacted before the light even got to its destination, kind of like negative time, mate. Wild. Some physicists say that the future could in fact influence the past in quantum mechanics, bro. So it's not like a time machine, but more so a glitch in the Matrix, alright? So maybe Interstellar wasn't far from the truth, so maybe subconsciously your future self is making decisions that intuitively you pick up in the past, which direct you down the path of wherever your future self is heading. So maybe we're getting subtle messages from ourselves, bro. And maybe this is what kind of explains when you get random downloads or information packets that don't seem like it's something from yourself. Or even instances of deja vu where you might just get this kind of weird feeling like you've been somewhere before that you've never been. But if you're like a spiritual enlightened person like myself, I mean, you kind of knew this already. I mean, there's loads of things that science seems to be proving that we have been speculating on for the longest time, where people have kind of had inclinations that XYZ is true, then it gets proven with physical evidence. So I don't know, man. What do you guys think? You think this is a funky coincidence? Or our future self is actually influencing us right now? Alright? Future self. Give me $1 million, mate. Pounds, pesos, I don't know. Whatever you want. Please. I'm being serious.
This thing is totally wild. It's a red sprite. I've done videos on red sprites before, but this literally was caught by a NASA astronaut literally just a couple of days ago from the ISS space station. These things look completely alien. They're basically energy and lightning going up into the atmosphere and causing this amazing kind of light show in the atmosphere as well. I think scientists are quite puzzled. They don't really understand how these things really do manage to sort of like create, but they're absolutely amazing. This red sprite image caught by the NASA astronaut from the ISS is absolutely incredible. As I said, I've done a video before showing many pictures of red sprites. They're absolutely wild. Check these out, guys. I mean, they really are truly an amazing phenomenon. I mean, check these out. So the one on the top right is the one caught from the ISS, from literally space, which is one of the few pictures ever taken of one of these things from space. These are other pictures that I've got of red sprites. They're absolutely incredible natural phenomenon. They truly look like some sort of huge alien jellyfish. Wild.
This is why you stay armed while camping. An experienced camper from Russia named Tim Morozov was camping with his dog Kersham when he begins to hear footsteps outside his tent.
Кто здесь?
After some time, Tim decides to see who's out there. Then his dog Kersham suddenly runs into the woods, chasing after whatever was out there.
Друзья, я не знаю, что делать. Прошло уже 2 часа, как я зову Кучума. Он не приходит.
Unable to find Kersham, he begins to search the woods and finds handmade traps and objects.
Костер еще тепленький.
Still no signs of Kersham, he's forced to spend the night again and set up camp. Then, something horrifying is captured.
Ладно.
Whoever's living in these woods seems to send them warning shots. After some time hiding, Kersham also shows up as they get away from there. Could it be that Kersham was taken by whoever's out there, then freed after Tim was scared off? Let me know what you think happened here.
So why do you think the media is doing like, there's aliens, and then it's like, there's no aliens, and then it's like, oh, there's aliens? Like, why? Is it just, do you think it's just conditioning?
100%. They want to roll it out because aliens will detach you from God.
Yeah.
And I think aliens are just angels and demons.
I mean, yeah, I think that's the side I side on. It's just like the supernatural of it all. And it's like, because you can go back way back in history and throughout scripture, it's like there's always signs of, I was reading Ezekiel 1 last night, and it's like, that is, if you were to see that today, you'd be like, this is an alien invasion.
Yeah, I agree.
And it's like these creatures, 4 wings, 4 heads, and it's like the wheel within the wheel. And it's like wherever the spirit of these beings said was in the wheel, and wherever the spirit went, the wheel traveled. And it said it didn't turn direction.
Stayed front. Yeah.
Stayed front. But it was like lightning, it said.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like,
you know, Aleister Crowley, obviously we're not a fan of that guy, but he talked that, you know, there will be in the era of the Thoth, is that T-H-O-T, Thoth, which is an old Egyptian god. You will see his return when the sky is burning, and I forget the exact exact saying he said, but it's basically trans, right, or everywhere. They will return and they will come under the angels and demons will return and they will be called a different name. And there's this belief that the name will be aliens.
Oh.
That they're being sold to us as aliens. And there's a very famous study where the Pentagon stopped studies into aliens because everyone at the Pentagon came to believe it was angels and demons.
Wow.
Yes.
Yeah, because what other conclusion could you bring to it? If you really look into them, it really seems like that's where it's pointing.
Well, my favorite thing is that, like, you remember when we had the balloon going around and like the military's like, we don't know what to do. It's like, it's a balloon. Like, what is our defense for if we can't stop a balloon, dude?
Get a BB gun.
Right? It's like crazy to me. But then 2 weeks later, like an alien craft came and we shot it down. So you can't do anything with the balloon, but this thing from a billion years away, you just went up to went pew, 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 and it just crashed. Like, it makes no sense whatsoever.
Totally. It probably scares them, right?
Yeah.
The alien technology
scares who?
The military. Like, I mean, that's
Or
probably
at least the whoever's in power.
Yeah. It's got to be an intimidating thing, or because it's more powerful than them, or
Or
maybe
they're
they just
not
don't
running it, and the alien and then whatever they're dealing with are running it, and that scares out of them because now they're basically being controlled by this other entity.
Yeah. I think,
Again, I don't think anyone in that room with the aliens gets scared. They're all psychopaths. That's why they're in that room. So nobody knows about compartmentalizing your brain, right? So everyone goes, so if they fake the moon landing, you're saying everyone is in on it. I go, everyone in that room, 100% in on it, because again, it goes into data and they know exactly who can keep a secret.
Yeah.
And exactly if you pay them enough money, you throw them enough fun, they're just going to shut up and run with it, right? They don't care. They don't care. So you want to see a great example of this in real time is India landing on the moon. Have you seen that video?
Yeah.
It's like Cuba, and like Atari graphic is landing on the moon, and everyone in that room is like, yeah, we landed. And it's so obvious that's not what's happening there, but everyone in the room is in on it. Either they knowingly or unknowingly, they're totally in on it, and they're all captured, and they're just playing their role at that point.
So do you think no one, even like machine-wise, has ever been to the moon?
Well, I'm a firmament guy, so like
flat Earth.
Well, I don't know if it's flat. I honestly believe it's some kind of energy vortex.
All right.
And there's a thing that separates the waters from above from the waters from below, and something's there. And I personally don't think we can get out of it.
Okay.
And that's why they're freaking out, and that's what all this kind of singularity is about. That's what all this transhumanism about is. Like, these are fallen angel worshipers. They're either fallen angels or what they call the watchers, who are the worshipers of the fallen angels, and they want to get back upstairs.
I see.
And they can't do it.
It's like the Tower of Babel, right? Yeah.
That's what we're talking about.
Becoming like God.
Yeah. Honda's now doing rockets, so I mean, it's got to be real.
But they're all in on it. Like, oligarchies help oligarchies. They all are into it because it's a use of controlling the population. You know, that's Ron Placone said that. Oligarchies help oligarchies, man. So they're all in on it. They all need to control their population. They do it through fear. You know, if there's an aliens come down, they're so advanced that we have to submit to them. And when Ronald Reagan, which I'm not going to get into the specifics of it, but if you want to watch a really insane video on Ronald Reagan, it's a great website. I believe his name's Andy Hunt, and he has a website called Control Alt History, and he breaks down the scandal with Ronald Reagan in the 1983. But you know, he talked about, like, we're going to need an alien invasion to bring everybody together, and that gets into the revelation of the method. They got to tell you what they're doing, because if not, if they tell us what they're doing and we don't stop them, that's on us, not on them. It's like this weird karma thing that they do.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Huh. That was weird. A lot of information. Yeah. I think we've gotten stuff to the moon personally. The firmament, like talks about in scripture, is definitely. I believed in flat Earth for about 2 weeks of my entire life, and I asked some flat Earth dudes. People that watch this, they know it already. But it came down to, like, what about in Antarctica? where the sun's up 24/7. And they're like, "Whoa, there's 2 suns." And I'm like, "Okay, well, you lost me there."
I don't know. I've had people say there's 3 suns, so I don't know what it is. I think it's way more. I think way beyond what we're supposed to know.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's flat. It's like that sun thing. They're like, okay, that disproves flat Earth, but there's so much that disproves a ball. There's so much, like these high-end telescopes back in the day when they were telling us about the Earth is round. They didn't have these things, and you see these scopes go for hundreds of miles.
Yeah.
And there should be a curve there. So I don't know what it is. I'm not smart enough to tell you what it is. I just know it's not what they tell us, because the people that are telling us have been caught lying all the time.
True.
So I don't know what it is, and I also believe it probably will. If they came out right now and told you what it was, I don't think anything would change in your life.
Yeah.
The only thing I think is like the people who believe in God would be like, "Told ya."
Yeah.
That's it.
You can see real-time reports from around the world of strange things happening, including things happening around local to you. It's a UFO tracking app where users can submit events happening near them, and you can get live feedback and information. And if you ever see something strange in the middle of the night, you could report it yourself and get answers from other real people. You can even explore sightings that happened years and years ago with its ability to read stories all throughout history and across the globe. It's basically Yelp, but for strange things in the sky. You can download Enigma today to give it a try.
I tried this app, or one exactly like it, and it was just a bunch of hot air. Unless there isn't anything happening where I am at all, which would make sense considering I live in the back end of nowhere. But isn't that where everything's supposed to happen? But still, there was nothing interesting happening in the United Kingdom at all, other than it just being one of the most evil, corrupt countries in the world. You know, we don't really have much else going on. Although I'm just saying that for entertainment purposes, YouTube don't fit. Now, we do have some clips coming up next that cover some religious conspiracies. And just a quick disclaimer, these are not to offend nor discredit any particular religious beliefs or faiths of any kind. They are simply for entertainment purposes only, and obviously no offense is intended towards any individuals or religious groups. With that being said, let's dive in, shall we?
You ever stop and wonder why there are thousands of religions on this planet and not a single one of them has brought peace? Why after tens of thousands of years, millions of prayers, billions of bodies, and trillions of dollars, the world is still enslaved by war, fear, poverty, corruption, and lies? It's because religion was never designed to save you. It was engineered to control you. Let's start at the beginning. Not Genesis, not the Bible. I'm talking pre-Abrahamic. I'm talking ancient Mesopotamia, Sumer, Akkad, and Babylon, the real origins of the gods. The earliest known written records of deities come from Sumer, modern-day Iraq, around 3500 BCE. These weren't monotheistic gods, they were a pantheon, like the Anunnaki, beings from the sky who allegedly came to Earth to create or alter humanity. You'll find them in the Sumerian tablets, written in cuneiform, long before Moses, Abraham, or the Torah. The Anunnaki gods, Enlil, Enki, Ninursag, were described not as omnipotent spiritual beings, but flesh and blood entities who demanded worship, tribute, and obedience. Sound familiar? These were the blueprint for Yahweh, Baal, Moloch, El, and the rest of the Middle Eastern gods that followed. In fact, the name El, one of the names for the Hebrew god, was already known in Canaanite religion. El Elyon literally means God Most High, but he was part of a whole pantheon. Yahweh was just one of the sons of El. This is referenced directly in Deuteronomy 32:8, before it was scrubbed by later redactors. The ancient Hebrews were not monotheistic. That came later through political reform. So what does that mean? It means the Abrahamic God is just the final evolution of territorial sky gods, war gods, storm gods, volcano gods, used by priest kings to maintain control through fear and blood. Now fast forward. Judaism becomes codified under the influence of Babylonian exile. After the fall of Jerusalem in 586 BCE, priesthood, particularly the Levites, rewrote history. They took fragments of oral traditions, tribal myths, laws, and Babylonian cosmology and fused them into the Torah. Don't believe me? Compare Genesis 1 to the Enuma Elish, the Babylonian creation myth written around 1800 BCE. Same structure, chaos, division of waters, 7 days, light before the sun. It's a carbon copy, just monotheized and sanitized. Same goes for the flood story. Noah is just the Hebrew version of Utnapishtim from the Epic of Gilgamesh, written over 1,000 years earlier. Judaism isn't the original religion. It's a remix of ancient Sumerian, Babylonian, and Egyptian traditions rewritten to make the Israelite.
If you want to find a literal Jesus, go to the mirror and look at yourself. The true gospel is the ecliptic, and yet we have 4 gospels in this book that copy the ecliptic. Everything in the gospels here written about Jesus is what the sun does on the ecliptic. But you will find in history that many ascended ones and many godlike men and women followed the pattern that is in here by nature, because there's no other pattern. Erroneously, they have imposed the literal on top of the metaphorical. So they literally want a Jesus, God-man, mundane history, historical, had to have been born of a virgin, done all the same things. And by the way, all of the God-man saviors, they all had the same attributes and the same story. 12 disciples, born of a virgin, 3 wise men, blah, blah, blah. It's all the same stuff. The everlasting Jesus Christ in your heart is the one that will always be with you forever and ever and ever and ever. And that historical one is gone. The scriptures don't tell you all that detail. But when you meditate and you go into your heart, you will learn all the detail you need to know about the Christ and Christ consciousness. So this is why the literal historical is useless. It's pointless. It's like believing in Santa Claus. There's no writings of Jesus in here, is there? Why? Because it wasn't literal. The writings were written in the starry ecliptic way before we were born.
If you're seeking the real truth, if you want to understand what you are and where we are, this ebook will have answers. Check the link in the profile bio.
Hey Muslims and Christians, I have a question. Yeah, is the Bible the complete Word of God? Yes, Christians believe the Bible is 100% the Word of God. But one of the most important verses, 1 John 5:7, is missing. We have it in the King James Version. It says, there are 3 that bear the record in heaven, the Father, the Word, and the Holy Ghost, and all 3 are one. We removed it because it isn't found in any original manuscripts, and every other Bible has chosen to leave it out. Really? Is there any other verses taken out? Yes, Acts 8:37. We still have it. We've all removed John 7:53 to 8:11. Yep. Luke 22:43 to 44. Yep. Matthew 18:11. Oh yes, we completely removed that. Mark 9:46. That's right. And Matthew 17:21. We have them all. You should really take them out, King James. They're not authentic. What about that really, really important verse about God's only begotten Son in John 1:14? In the original Greek manuscripts, it doesn't say begotten Son at all. It says unique one. We're the New Revised Version, and we say unique Son. Does the original Greek actually say Son? No. Son was added later. How can people change the Word of God? Do we at least have the same amount of books? We have 66 books. The Orthodox Bible has 81 books. The Catholic Bible has 73 books. And who determined which books were authentic? About 300 years after Jesus, there was over 80 Gospels. However, the church leaders decided to only keep 4. So people who lived 300 years after Jesus chose which books are God's perfect word? Oh, it's complicated, okay? Very. What about the story of how Jesus died? Can we at least agree on this? Actually, no. We reject the whole ending of the Gospel of Mark, which involves the resurrection story. Wait, so the resurrection ending might not be original? It's not found in any of the original Greek manuscripts. Is there any other contradictions? In the Gospel of John, Jesus died at 12 p.m. and his last words were, "It's finished." In the Gospel of Matthew, he died at 3 p.m. and his last words were, my God, why have you forsaken me?" How can both be true? Each Gospel is written by a different person, so they're not written by God? They were inspired by God. What happened after Jesus died? In the Gospel of John, Mary Magdalene saw Jesus outside his tomb, but she mistaked him for the gardener. We say she didn't see Jesus at all. The tomb was completely empty. In Matthew, an angel came, but she fainted. Are you sure you're talking about the same story? It's just minor details. It really doesn't matter. Just believe Jesus will save you. All right. What else don't you agree on? I say Jesus is the bloodline of King Solomon. No, he's from Nathan's line. Jesus was born in Bethlehem. No, he was born in Nazareth. Jesus rose to heaven on the same day as his resurrection. Actually, wait, no, 40 days later. I wrote both. Oops. There was a great earthquake when Jesus died. No, there wasn't. Also, Jesus didn't carry his cross to the crucifixion. Yes, he did. No, he didn't. Yes, he did. No, Simon did. No, he didn't. Stop. This is crazy. How can the Bible be 100% the word of God if you all contradict each other and have so many inconsistencies? How does that work?
Did you know some scholars think the Bible's Book of Revelation was coded to criticize the Roman Empire? Verses have vanished, timelines have clashed, and even Jesus' last words themselves shift between Gospels. Now, it sounds more like a power struggle to me rather than divine error, but maybe the true words lie in not what was left in these various scriptures, but perhaps what was removed and intentionally left out. Now, I have to reiterate, this is not to offend anyone with their beliefs. This is just simply a man speaking as an individual who holds no religious beliefs in one way or another of their own. I am open to any and all religions, and I do not discriminate. I find them all equally as fascinating in their own way for different reasons. I just do not subscribe to any one particular religion myself, and consider myself more a student, I guess. It's good to have hope and believe in something, so if you are of any religion, you keep doing you and keep whatever faith gives you hope and happiness in life.
You gotta understand, they been did this because Trump, he got rich because his father found all of Tesla shit. Then he gave it to Tesla. Cut that butt out. Everybody gonna kill your ass. yeah. That's what I want. Yeah. That's how he got rich. Right? They became millionaires like that. So you don't really want to talk about that. Yeah, you might want to cut that butt out.
Did you know Tesla patented a flying machine in 1928? This claim that Trump made, their fortune from Tesla is nothing new. It's a fairly prevalent theory in the conspiracy realm, but what do you make of this one?
We know the truth now here. This is Cross Mounds, found in Ohio. Cross Mounds is a mound aligned with the 4 cardinal points of the universe. Middle Hebrew, the X means mark or seal or sign in the earliest Hebrew script. The letter Tav was the shape of the cross, much like the letter T in English. Let's go see what civilizations use the X as the Middle Hebrews. Olmecs use the X, Middle Hebrew. Let's keep going. Egyptians use the X. This is Middle Hebrew. Mayans, the X, Middle Hebrew. Let's keep going. Early Hebrew is the T, or the cross. Let's see what civilization used there. The Mississippi was put in early Hebrew marks or seals on their artifacts. Now you understand it? The early pictograph of the cross evolved into the X in the Middle Semitic script. The so-called Canaanites had the cross. And this is where the X and the cross comes from. The Earth cross and the galactic cross. And the astrology of the X means Ta. The first astrology came from Ta, Mary. We know the truth now.
This Ohio mount, it's aligned to cardinal directions, and it really does seem to reflect a lot of these ancient symbols like the tab, which suggests a forgotten global language, maybe, When I say forgotten, I actually mean buried or corrupted. Could these crosses found from Olmec to Mayan cultures be star maps left by lost civilizations, or are we seeing patterns where none exist? What if history's biggest secrets are hidden in plain sight rather than buried deep in the Vatican archives?
Get this food out of your house. This is absolutely going to poison your children. Pringles. I wouldn't say they're the most dangerous food on the planet, but I'll tell you, they might be in the top 10. There's potato chip alternatives now. Use the avocado oil. Stay away from the seed oils with the potato chips. Potato chips can actually be a decent snack for kids as long as the oils are okay, not Pringles.
Pringles aren't real potato chips. They're actually made from powdered potatoes and starch pressed into that weird curved shape. Now, in certain parts of Europe, like the UK, they legally cannot call them potato chips because they're not sliced from whole potatoes and have such a high sugar content they are classified as cake or bread in many regions. They're also bad for you because they're high in unhealthy fats, salt and additives, which can increase your risk of heart disease and worse. Remember that when you are next sticking your hand in that can.
Do you still think that the 4th of July is about celebrating the people's freedom, and that France gave the United States the Statue of Liberty to commemorate that freedom? Aw, that's adorable. Well, have you ever noticed the chains on the Statue of Liberty and how they're broken specifically? You see, what a lot of people have realized, and a lot of people have done videos on, is that the Statue of Liberty is actually a statue of Lucifer. Down to the chains that they both have and the 7-point crown, the one that you can see here where he's holding it in this 1848 Lucifer statue. How their positions are the same, how their faces even look the same. Like I said, their faces even look similar. This is the 1848 statue of Lucifer and the current face of the Statue of Liberty. But do you know that there is an original face of the Statue of Liberty? An original face that just happens to look just like Elvis. But we'll get back to that, because right now I want to focus on this broken chain. And I simply want to point out this Bible verse to you. And I saw an angel come down from heaven, having the key of the bottomless pit and a great chain in his hand. And he laid hold of that dragon, that old serpent, which is the devil and Satan, and bound him for 1,000 years. He bound him in the bottomless pit for 1,000 years. And just a few short verses later, after 1,000 years have expired, Satan shall be loosed out of his prison, which is the bottomless pit, and go out to deceive the nations. So he was chained and bound for 1,000 years in the bottomless pit. And when those 1,000 years has expired, he is released from his chains in the bottomless pit. You know what those chains kind of remind me of? The chains on the 1848 Lucifer statue and the chains on the Liberty statue. You know, the Statue of Liberty that has the Freemasons plaque on it commemorating our nation's freedom. You know, the Freemasons love and worship Lucifer. You know, the light bearer. Good old Google even says there is a plaque on the Statue of Liberty that incorporates Masonic symbols, specifically the square and compass. And what was that given to us for again by France? Oh yeah, the independence of America and their friendship between France and the United States. The statue's official name is Liberty Enlightening the World. That kind of sounds like Lucifer, the light bearer. You know, Lucifer, the guy that's got the broken chain and the torch over there, the light bearer. And Lucifer, who probably wasn't put in the bottomless pit by himself, but maybe with his fellow fallen angels. You know, the 200 of them mentioned in the book of Enoch, also put in the bottomless pit. Anyone else ever think it's strange that there just happened to be 200 proven meteorite or asteroid impact craters in the Earth? You know, ones that look like this and these. There's even one that's literally on fire all the time. But this one looks a little different. That doesn't look like the other ones. What's this one? Oh, you know, the one that just happens to be at 666 United Nations Way and in the middle of the yard, like there's a tribute to it? Maybe, just maybe, they've pulled the wool so far over our faces that we don't realize the time period we're living in either. And maybe we're living in a time past the 1,000-year millennial reign where Satan is let loose from the bottomless pit and freed his chains to deceive the nations. And maybe that statue that looks like this now, but used to look like this, is just celebrating Satan's release. But why would he look like Elvis, you ask? Well, if I were a fallen angel who just happened to be known as the minister of music in heaven, and I got kicked out of heaven for wanting to be worshipped like God, if I was put down in earth, well, to get back at God, I would most certainly try to get everyone to worship me instead of the Heavenly Father. And what better way to do it than to be the greatest musician to ever live and have everyone worship you? But you can't do it just so openly that your face is literally plastered on the big statue. The big statue that doesn't commemorate the United States freedom, but the freedom from the bottomless pit, which in my humble opinion happened in 1776. And if these fallen angels are either immortal angels or die and reincarnate, whatever it is, there would be evidence of them living before the millennial reign, right? Well, thanks to my buddy Cedric who sent this to me, we now have our evidence. A 70 BC Babylonian king that just happens to look an awful lot like the king of rock and roll. an awful lot like him. You see, he has been getting people to worship him for thousands of years. And I think this is his last chance. Maybe his last chance to test us. But if you've seen any of my videos, you know I don't think he's doing it in this form or this form anymore. No, they changed his looks a little, just like they changed the looks of the Statue of Liberty, so you wouldn't be the wiser. No, he's looking a little bit more like this lately. But of course, all this for entertainment purposes, people. I know the 4th of July is to celebrate our independence from those tyrannical people over in the UK. Yeah. Doesn't matter that all our presidents have been related to an English king. We still have our independence. Entertainment only. Oh, and they would never mock us by creating a show called Fallout, where the lead star who escapes from underground in a pit, whose name is Lucy. Oh, and she just happens to, what number does she wear? 33. Kind of like 0.33 or a third. A third of God's angels fell with Lucifer, aka Lucy, and they wouldn't definitely put it right in plain sight for all to see. That's how much they mock you, people. It's time to figure it out. But like I said earlier, of course, this is for entertainment purposes.
This guy needs an Elvis intervention, I'm not even kidding. It was going so well for him before he mentioned Elvis again. Thank you so much for watching today's episode. If you did enjoy it, please consider dropping a like. It does a lot to help push the video further out on the algorithm, and if you did make it this far, please comment Elvis. It tells me that you're paying attention and that you are indeed still a human being. And if you haven't already done so, please join the Discord server where the conversations continue long after the video ends. But for now, stay safe, stay well, and stay curious. Until next time.